What is up, everybody? Calling all angels. We are talking NWSL, the return after this month off from everything we have been waiting for. We are finally back in the game. We're back at it. Let's see what is coming here for all these squads as we move forward. Before we do any of that, however, we do need to make one quick adjustment to the action. Oh, that's not the one. And that is my screen here. I'm going to shrink it down. There we go. All right, we do have one thing that needs to be covered. Before we get to the actual matches that are coming this week, we do need to talk about Gotham FC versus Kansas City Current. This occurred last week while World Cup was going on. It was airing on Amazon Prime, so I was not able to do much with it. It should still be clearly visible, even though we do have a score bug up at the moment. But we have Gotham FC facing Kansas City Current. This is the battle of the Shield winner, Kansas City, and the Cup winner, Gotham. This is called the NWSL Challenge Cup. It originally was a league-wide tournament that occurred during 2020 when a full season was not possible, and has since evolved into what is functionally the NWSL's Super Cup, and they decided to run it here the week before the long World Cup break wrapped up. Gotham FC handling their business 2-0. We had a penalty kick late in the first half. Esther Gonzalez put the team ahead. In the second half, Jordan Dudley picked up a goal right before the 80th minute, unassisted. Tierna Davidson picked up the game's only booking, a yellow card. So it was all Gotham for the most part. Kansas City's one bright spot was they did manage to get 3 shots on target, all of which were stopped by the keeper, to Gotham's 2, one of which was scored. The other was saved. PK obviously not counted on there. Gotham was leading the time of possession for it. Ultimately, this game does not count much towards the standings. I bring it up mostly because, one, it is a trophy, but also it has been the only American women's football that we've had for the last month. So we are all very happy, very grateful that something had occurred and there is something within the league to go over. Thought I'd go over that really quick. All right, talked about it here long enough. Let's get back to the matches that tied the standings, and that begins with this Independence Day weekend slate of matches. So, beginning today at 8 Eastern over in Washington, D.C., we've got Washington Spirit back to action against Houston Dash in what should be a match pretty straightforward here. You would expect Washington to come out guns a-blazing, just going through, getting the quick 3 points as they are now in competition for that first place mark. Houston, I have held, is been a little bit of an early season mirage. Facing teams of very high quality like this, we should expect Washington to step up at this stage. We are more than 10 matches in. Everyone has played more than a third of their season. We should start seeing a measure of control and expectation. So I'm going to give Washington probably a multi-goal victory, to be honest. I don't know if Houston really generates any offense. I would say this could be a 2-0, 3-0, at best 3-1 for Washington. So I think Houston gets pretty definitively beaten here. Additionally, we look at Denver hosting Kansas City. This is an interesting one because Kansas City is sitting back up in competition with those top 6 teams as the top 6. They want to make a name for themselves, get back into competition where they are fighting for home field in that first round. See if they can get themselves back in there as a Shield contender. But they are at Denver with a team that has outpaced their expectations. as far as an expansion year goes. They are sitting right at the edge of the playoff picture right now. They are just on the outside looking in. I think Denver does give them some problems. I think Denver gets an early lead, but Kansas City levels it. This one I'm going to give as a draw. I'm going to say it goes 1-1. Denver has looked good so far. I do think they're good enough to get a lead against Kansas City, but I don't think they're strong enough to actually maintain it all the way to the finish. We also have a third match here. I will be previewing this one separately, Angel City versus Orlando. This is a rematch of a game that was held in Orlando very early in the season. This was the team that upended Angel City's undefeated record at the beginning of the year and started this downhill spiral. Angel City at home should be much more game for them. They've made some roster shifts. We've already gone over that in a previous video. But there's also a change in coach, so this could be very, very iffy. I'm going to give it to Angel City, though, because this does feel like one of those step up and prove yourself kind of days where you have to show this isn't on us. The coaching change was not on us. The locker room player changes were not on us. So I do think Angel City shows up in front of their fans, step up, get their business taken care of. I'm going to give them a 2-1 victory. And we will see. I think this will be a very important test for Angel City because if they're going to be a serious contender for the playoffs, they need to beat a team who's currently clinging to the 8th seed. A win here would put them 1 point away from being in the playoffs. And that needs to be your focus now. You start of the year, going into that break, maybe you thought you had a shot at the Shield, get the actual true regular season title. That is not an option here. You need to just get in the top 8, get yourself to the playoffs, see if you can get some victories, maybe get hot, reel off a run there. We're approaching the halfway point. It's time to lock in. It's time to show that you can finish. And I'll talk again more about that later on. I don't want to spend too much time on it in this one. July 4th, North Carolina versus Seattle. This one is a matchup between two teams who are very much on the fringes. One is on the inside, barely looking out. One is on the outside, looking in. Neither one is particularly impressive. Both teams have underachieved compared to what you would have thought. And so I am going to say that, I'm just going to, you're wondering why I am zooming in here. Oh, that's not mine. I'm trying to get myself in here. There it is. I'm going to zoom back in here for a moment because I do need to start the timer. There's the kickoff. All right, so the match should be running now properly there. All right, I'm going to move this back down. Apologies, I just needed to adjust that as I said. We are running simultaneously here. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to say on this one, North Carolina at home, been playing a little hotter than Seattle. I'm going to give them a 1-0 victory. San Diego and Gotham, very much a clash of two top 5 teams. Gotham's at least had a match with Kansas City to get themselves warmed up again. So I am actually going to say, even though San Diego's near the top, I'm actually going to go with an upset here. And that they struggle to score. They have been good at late game heroics. But I think they take a 2-1 loss here. Gotham gets a lead early. San Diego's not able to respond all the way. And I will give Gotham a 2-1 victory on the team that currently sits atop the standings here. Moving into Sunday. Boston and Bay. Battle of two teams in the lowest quarter of the league. Both teams are trying to establish that they can actually manage something here. I'm going to say at home, Boston should be more game for it, but I'm going to ultimately rule a draw because Bay made some moves that I think were actually very good for their roster. So I'm going to say it actually works through. They click early, but they don't know how to maintain it long term. Boston reels back, levels the match. I'll go 1-1 draw. Chicago and Utah. This one should very clearly be a Utah victory. They are so much higher up on the totem pole right now than Chicago in terms of just their footballing ability. Additionally, Chicago has had to make some front office changes. Not all has been going swimmingly, to say the least. Utah fighting for that top position. I think they're going to be stepping up quite a bit here. I think this ends up being a 2-goal victory. I'm going to say that they get a 2-0 win on this. And then the closeout, we have Portland and Louisville. Again, this is a unique one because with Portland, they are a significantly better team than Louisville. Louisville's sitting at the back of the standings right now. They're a contender right now for the wooden spoon. There is an injury right now on the field, and it looks like a stretcher has come out, by the way. Australia and Egypt is happening at this time, and yeah, we have a stretcher for one of the Egyptian players, so there's going to be some time added here. Getting back to Portland and Louisville, though, stylistically, Louisville is the kind of team that would give Portland a problem. Portland likes to hang back and counterattack very much so. It ends up being that the team on offense ends up generating a lot more in every game, but Portland gets the better opportunities later. Louisville actually managed to steal a game off of them when they were in Kentucky just because they did that. That said, I do not think it goes as well here when they go to Portland. Not only has a lot of time passed, but Louisville has revealed itself as a lot more dysfunctional. One of their players, Sears, has requested a trade out. So we'll see what kind of adjustment happens there. I would certainly not oppose it on my squad. But I can see right now this is a difficult spot. I think there's some dysfunction in the locker room. Some stuff is going to have to change. I'm going to say Portland actually ends up winning this thing fairly comfortably. Louisville still scores, but they drop a 3-1 defeat. So that is our preview for the week. And yeah, this should be interesting. I do not know specifically which game gets live. It will not be any of the ones today. The matches, in terms of their timing, it's dawned on me that the North Carolina one is actually, I think, off by a little bit. I think that's actually supposed to be 6:30 because it would be a 3:30 start, and I believe that's how it's actually running. But yeah, I don't think my timing works well on the 4th because that is around the time that we're going to have actual stuff going on. But it'll be nice to have those games on to be able to watch on my own. Sunday is probably the one that has the best shot. If it is, it'll be the Boston versus Bay one in the early morning. If not, I'll do 2 matches next week to cover and make up for that one. Yeah, we should have some decent matches that next week as well. So we'll talk about those at a later point. But for now, we are ready for this. Enjoy your football. Be glad that the NWSL is back. And go, Angels.